Hi, welcome to Two Sons Sailing.
Today, we're going to be looking at the seam where the deck and the hull meet. So the hull of the boat, which is the bottom part, and the deck are made in two different molds, and then they're originally glued together. And at some point, this has either failed or someone opened it intentionally to get into the foam that we saw earlier. And since there are no holes on the deck, I'm assuming that whoever did work on the internal foam blocks split this seam here, did what they could, and then tried to glue it back together again.
Well, it failed.
Yeah, it failed. And we didn't open this. This is just from the being moved around.
Probably the original owner.
Yeah, and it is pretty evident why the boat was leaking and taking on water, because this wasn't the only spot. There are quite a few other spots that was open like this, and they've used this material that it's either a polyurethane. Yeah, it's a little rubbery. It's either a polyurethane or it's a silicone, and hopefully it's polyurethane, because if it's a silicone, it's going to be really hard to paint over. Silicon's really bad because things don't stick to silicon. That's what spatulas are in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is silicon, we're gonna have to work really hard to clean it all off when we try and put something else on it, or it won't stick as well.
And how will we fill these in?
Well, so they've used something, and it's what they've used. Here, I've got a piece of it right here. What they've used is more of a sealant instead of an adhesive. So when you're joining two things together like this, you either need to put screws on it, and then you mechanically fasten it, or you need an adhesive. And this is just a sealant. And you can see it's stretchy and pliable, so it's going to work pretty well as a sealant, but it's not very sticky. And so it comes off pretty easily. It's not very tenacious. Also,
then how do you make it so it doesn't come off?
So we'll get there. They originally put it kind of on the bottom of this channel in there, and that's where I pulled this piece out of. And what's interesting about this is that this was right inside just like that, and it should have been where this piece was touching that piece, but you can see from the top of it that it didn't get squished at all, so they just laid the bead down with a caulk gun and didn't pinch the two together tight enough, so it never even made contact. And if you go all the way around the boat, you can see that sometimes these two are at the same level, and sometimes there's a little bit of a gap like that. And that's where they didn't pinch it tight enough and get good contact. And so then they went back and added more between the edge here, but that didn't hold either. The right way to do this is to either use possibly a marine adhesive like 3M 5200, or to actually use thickened epoxy and glue the two together with epoxy, which is probably what we're going to do.
Epoxy? Isn't that more expensive?
It is more expensive. That's why people won't do it. So what we need to do is we need to get as much of this old glue off as we can, and eventually we're going to split the hull at least a little bit.
Why would we do that?
You can't really take the two all the way apart because the centerboard trunk and the mast step attach the two together, but you can peel the edges back a little bit. And this is one of those instances where it's a little weird that the Phantom and the Sunfish are different. The Sunfish doesn't have this lip here. It's just got two pieces that go together, and then there's an edge of metal band that goes around them.
Oh, so if we bought Sunfish, we wouldn't be having to do any of this.
We might still. They still do this, but the difference is that because it doesn't have this lip on the edge to stiffen it, once you break the seam on a Sunfish, you can unroll, you can bend up the deck a little bit. It's more flexible, but it's going to be really stiff because of this edge. All right, so we'll see. It's getting close to dinner time and the natives are restless. All right, so what we're going to do is you're going to put that in. And you're just going to... And if you grab that, you can pull the extra out. And you just keep doing that all the way around the boat to get as much of that off as you can. This is a little itchy because the fiberglass tends to splinter just a little bit.
I can't.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you don't stab your fingers. There you go. So it looks like it comes off pretty easily, and it doesn't leave too much of a film behind, so I think it might actually be more of a polyurethane instead of a silicone. Try not to, yeah.
Did I do it?
No, you're fine. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go this way, because you're gonna break the hull, you can.
If I did that on accident, it would be fine.
Well, as long as you're gentle. See how I can get it open a little bit?
Uh-huh. Is that what
And
they
you can
did?
see, if you put your head down here, you can see where there's some caulk right there. That was supposed to stick the two together, but I don't think it really even touched this other side. So we're gonna get as much of this off as we possibly can, and then sand it a bunch, clean it up as much as we can, and then put some thickened epoxy in there.
Can't get off with the
Clamp
gloves.
everything back together again.
Dad,
Yeah.
can't get anything.
Yeah. The fiberglass isn't very. It's pretty abrasive on your skin. It can hurt you. So
then why are you doing it?
okay, so we'll work on this a little bit off camera, or maybe take a time lapse and clean this up as much as we can. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So here you can see how it is supposed to attach, and if I pry this open a little bit, you can see what glue there is there, but it obviously wasn't up to actually adhering the two together. And the light's not great, but if you get in there just right, you can see the original thickened epoxy that the original manufacturer applied, but at some point that's failed too. So we're gonna have to go all the way around this edge, opening this up and cleaning this up. But I'm a little nervous that if we undo too much of this, when we have to move the boat back outside again, we're going to have to do it later, but tomorrow, it might fall apart. So we're going to stop for now and move the boat outside, and then once it's up on sawhorses outside, we'll do the rest. Because I think this is the next thing we need to do before we do much else, is get this seam straightened out. So there's one spot here that I knew had some damage because they put Bondo or some other filler over the edge without painting it or sealing it. But from the look of it, the entire lip of the deck is gone. This whole flange from about here to here is just gone. I just knocked this one part with a screwdriver. So all of this is going to have to get cleaned up and then re-glassed. So I'm going to keep going down it a little further and see how much of that comes off as I go. A little firmer on there than I thought it was. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so that all, get the light better. That all came off on one piece, and
it took a little bit of the fiberglass with it, but for the most part it wasn't really bonded on there that well. So this is all going to have to be re-glassed and then probably bulked up a little bit more and fared back into the hull. But for now we'll keep go around and separating everything. So I have most of the starboard side removed, at least separated the deck from the hull. And this is why I wanted to move this outside before I really went too far with this process. You can see that once the two are separated, they really don't have any rigidity between the two of them. And so if I was to try and pick the boat up now and move this, it'd be really difficult. So the plan now is to leave the boat here in this configuration until we get all of this prepped and ready. And then either wait for a really warm day when we could glass everything in, or I gotta go make cookies. We'll be back later.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, or share it with your friends. We're having fun, and we hope you're having fun watching too.